Hey everyone, Frosty here. Today we got patch 01.00.300 that was just released today, really early in the morning, and I have seen throughout the Discord and through some friends, to cover on the related topics. So I thought I'd share this with you guys. So from the skimming that I did while I was at work, there are some things that catch my attention, and there's some things that I could see where the community might feel happy or definitely upset about. But before we begin, just want to say thanks for checking out the channel. We do try to post regularly. We've been playing a lot of Overwatch 2 and Helldivers 2. Diablo's up in the forefront, so if any of those things interest you, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe. But anyway, time to dive into patch 01.00.3. So let's take a look at the overview here. So for this patch, we have made improvements and changes to the following areas: balance changes to weapons, stratagems, and enemies, and change to the spread democracy missions. So with balancing and general things here, we have armors with armor rating above 100 now also reduce damages on headshot. So if I had to speculate, you guys let me know. There's gonna be a lot of that. You guys let me know, because I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Educate me as well, because I'm not, obviously don't know everything. So I'd love to interact with you guys on this. But that just tells me, I guess, if you're in more of your heavy armor, that's going to help you with your headshots. As we all know, that the helmet and cape are obviously cosmetic, so it's armors with armor rating above 100 now reduce damages on headshots. So some else say no, duh, Frosty, but just to make sure we're clear, right? So victory poses will now play for the extracted, no stolen valor on my ship. Fair enough. We can't be having those losers who don't get extracted out because they're losers. And then burning damage reduced by 15%. Now, I did hear across the community that this was a overhaul and holistic thing. So whether it's burning damage from enemies or burning damage from Helldivers. So it is an overall nerf to the burning damage. And again, guys, correct me if I'm wrong here. So diving into the primary, secondary, and support weapons, we have the CB9 exploding crossbow, slightly smaller explosion, increased stagger, decreased number of maximum mags from 12 to 8, increased number of magazines received from resupply from 6 to 8, slight reduction in ergonomics, and muzzle velocity increase. I did use the exploding crossbow, and I know for me, in my opinion, I was not the biggest fan of the crossbow. I did try to use it and just was not a fan. I do like the staggering aspect of it, but again, at this point, it's one of those things where it is a variety of items. So I'd like to give this a try. Slightly smaller explosion, but the increased stagger is kind of what intrigues me of what that looks like. I mean, it wouldn't be a priority for me to go jump on that, but we'll just have to see how that plays out. The last 99 Quasar Cannon. So with the increased recharge time by 5 seconds, I've been talking to my friends throughout my work day today, and this was one of the biggest things we talked about the 5-second recharge time. And the number one thing that I have said over and over to each of my friends was, well, your replacement, to me, and what I would use, your replacement would be the expendables, which you're on, a 60-second cooldown with the 10% recharge time. And, I get that. I can see why people could be upset about that. It is a nerf. I mean, listen, I'm not going to deny it is a nerf. However, I don't know. It's just one of those things where the community will eventually ease into it and it'll be fine. I mean, in my opinion, I'm a big Quasar Cannon person. That's just my favorite thing to use. But honestly, if it's really that bad, then I'll just switch over to the expendables. I mean, we have another option, but I don't foresee this being horrible. And also to compare real quick with the Quasar Cannon and the expendables anti-tanks, you already have the weapon on your back. So instead of cycling out every minute and waiting for it to drop, and then if there's like a bunch of terminids or automatons around you, you already have it on your back, ready to go, ready to shoot as a Quasar Cannon, versus the eats where you're having to pick it up, run. Like, that's even more time. I know it might be an unpopular opinion for most, but you guys let me know what your thoughts are on that. Let me know if there's something I'm missing here, but I just feel like it's not that crazy. All right, moving on to the BR-14 Adjudicator. This was a weapon I was actually hoping to see an update on. So I definitely am going to try this one out. So its full auto is now the default fire mode, has a reduced recoil, increased magazines from 6 to 8, that's honestly really good. Increased number of magazines received from resupply from 6 to 8, and now placed amongst assault rifles. The only thing I'm kind of disappointed on is I wanted to see a slight damage, just a little bit though. Because when I used this weapon, yes, the magazines were terrible for what we saw as an assault rifle, because that was definitely not a marksman rifle. I mean, I guess you could argue, but no, come on, man. This was an assault rifle. And I just found it to be so underwhelming in damage. And I'm not saying I need it to one hit or do like what the Eruptor does or like a Punisher. It just feels a little bad in the damage department. So, but this is something I'm gonna give a try. So check out the future videos. We're definitely gonna get one out relatively soon on the Adjudicator. All right, moving on to the Laz 98 laser cannon. So we do see a slightly increased damage, but slightly reduced damage versus large volume bodies. I'm not too keen on what they mean by large volume bodies. I'm going to assume Bile Titans and Chargers. That's what comes to mind first. Let me know what you guys think about that. Educate me on that, because there's something I'm missing here. I never actually really used the 98 laser cannon. I felt like I think I used it like once or twice, and I didn't like the wind up. It's funny that I say that because I use the Quasar Cannon. There's a wind up on it, but this was like the consistent wind up for the dot damage, essentially damage over time. So kind of hypocritical, I know, but might just be something I need to try out to eat my own words here. So again, you guys let me know what you guys think about that one. So the SG8P Punisher Plasma. I remember when this thing came out and we tried it. Me and my friends tried it in a few Helldive raids and we hated this thing. I mean, maybe unpopular opinion in the community. This thing was disgusting. However, we do see a decreased maximum mags from 12 to 8. We see increased amounts of magazines received from resupply from 6 to 8, increased projectile speed, but will still keep a similar range. Okay, good. Decreased damage fall off on the explosion, and it's now placed in the energy weapons category. Obviously, the most important thing, it needs to be in the energy weapons. That's the highlight of this. No, realistically, this is looking pretty good. In terms of maybe what it needs, it would definitely need some testing. And I would have to agree with other content creators. It definitely would need some testing to see if that's what it takes. I mean, the decreased fall off damage on the explosion and increased projectile speed, but will still keep a similar range. I don't think that's obviously like, oh, that's going to make this thing meta, but it's definitely worth a shot. So if you guys have already tried it, educate me on this as well. The Arc 12 Blitzer, this one I'm interested in because I have personally never used the Blitzer. I've seen it, but I don't have any experience with this thing. So please let me know what you guys think of this, because I will definitely be trying this one out. Increased shots per minute from 30 to 45. And obviously, again, number one priority here, now placed in the energy weapons category. So this is something, though, that I need to try. Now, we do have the R36 Eruptor. I believe this was another controversial one. So decreased number of maximum mags from 12 to 6. And then the explosion damage drops off slightly faster. Okay, so obviously with me just now getting home from work and reading this thing and bringing it to you guys, I have not tested this. In my honest opinion, it's going to stink that they halved the maximum magazines. My personal opinion, I think that it should have been 8 maximum. It should have been down to 8 maximum magazine. 12, yeah, I could see how that being a lot for how powerful this weapon is. This is my main go-to. However, 8, I think, would have been a bit more lenient or fair. I mean, this thing is a powerhouse weapon. The explosion damage drops off slightly faster, so you won't see that much AoE damage, because I like using these things to shoot in the middle of your smaller, I like to call them little roaches in the Terminids, smaller enemies where you can kill 3 or 4 or 5 of them in a little circle. Maybe it only killed 3, but I don't know. This is something that I would probably still use as my main primary, but it is kind of sad that it didn't go from 12 to 8. They just took it to 12 to 6. So maybe we see that in a future update. You guys let me know what you guys think about the 12 to 6. Is it too much? Is it right on par? You guys let me know what you think. So the Laz 16 Sickle, decreased amount of magazines from 6 down to 3. I honestly, I honestly have not touched this weapon, so I am very ignorant to this one. There's a lot of weapons that I am ignorant to because when I really did try them and I just happened to forget them, they just did not keep my attention. So there's just a slight nerf here of a decreased amount of magazines from 6 down to 3. You have the Las 5 Scythe, increased damage from 300 to 350, decreased max number of mags from 6 down to 4. I am curious to see if the damage buff replaces the max number of mags from 6 down to 4, because in the way I see this, when you're fighting consistently, your magazines run out, then you're doing no damage. So is it really that big of a deal that they dropped it from 6 down to 4? However, you're getting increased damage. Like, does it neutralize here? We'll just have to see. Yes, the RS422 Railgun. This was the hottest item at the beginning of the game before, people started really picking up on the expendables and when the Railgun got nerfed. But it is good to see here that the increased armor penetration, both safe mode and unsafe mode, stagger force slightly reduced. Stagger force, okay, that's fine. My thing is, as long as it can pop the armor, like I want to test, so increased armor penetration in both safe mode and unsafe mode. The thing that I want to make sure that this does when I use the Railgun is it's going to pop the armor off. And that's really it. So it's good to see that there was a buff here, even though there's a slight nerf, in my opinion, a slight nerf. But I know some of you guys were Railgun fanatics, so let me know what you guys think about the Railgun. The MG101 heavy machine gun has a third-person crosshair enabled. This thing was horrible in first person, so I'm glad to see the third-person crosshair coming out as an option. Now, the Diligence Counter Sniper. This is the sniper class in the semi-automatic class, or excuse me, the sniper class and the DMR class. I like to clump them together, I'm actually happy to see that there was a damage increase. Like, that was something that I remember saying that this is what it's missing, right? So I'm really excited to take this, whether it's against the automatons, or the Terminids. So that is something that I want to give a try because I do like the idea of sniping in this game. Instead of being go, rush in, fast fighting Helldivers, we're more of a stealthy, we're going to sit back and we're going to pick off targets. Like, that's the beauty of this game, by the way, as a side note, is you're just able to mix up your play styles. And as long as you can still complete the mission and you had fun, well, it worked. All right, coming up next is the R63 Diligence, which is, I believe, the other sniper. That got a damage increase from 112 to 125. However, I don't know why we would use this when you have the Diligence counter sniper that does more damage. Maybe that was an ignorant thing to say. You guys let me know, but great, I guess. 112 to 125. I guess maybe this is something, as you're leveling up from, like, you're doing, difficulties from 1 to 5 and you're having to buy these weapons, right? And the Helldivers mobilize. And if you do happen to buy the war bonds, right, and you buy these weapons, you're progressing up. That is realistically the only thing why I see this being relevant here. All right, moving on to the P19 Redeemer. So we have the slight increase in recoil. Okay, that's pretty good for your pistols. You have the P2 Peacemaker, increased damage from 60 to 75. That's pretty good, especially whenever you're starting out. I mean, it still could be a pistol used later on. I've seen some people use in the end game. Most people use the Redeemer or the Senator. I personally use the Redeemer and Senator. So, as we just said, with the slight increase in recoil. But anyway, I have seen people use the P2 Peacemaker, so good. The little pea shooter got a little bit more damage. All right, the P8 Senator. This is something that I am thrilled about. Increased damage from 150 to 175, and speed loader added when reloading on an empty cylinder. Speeds up reload on empty considerably. This is awesome. Now, I don't know exactly because it depends on your loadout. Like I said, I run the Senator very, very often. But the Redeemer does come in handy when you have a slow firing weapon, like, for example, the counter sniper would be a very good option for the Redeemer to still, even though there's a slight increase in recoil. But back to the Senator here. This is something this pistol is phenomenal. I definitely think that we're going to find out real soon, how good this thing is, even better, right? So super excited. Next up is the Las 7 Dagger, increased damage from 150 to 200. So I actually have never really seen anyone use this weapon, so maybe we'll start seeing more people use it due to the damage increase, and maybe it'll be up to par with the Senator and or Redeemer. the AR-19 Liberator. So we're now down to the beginner assault rifle. So it's good to see that the damage increased from 55 to 60. Next up, you have the AR-23C Liberator Concussive. I remember using this weapon a lot in the early stages, so it's good to see that your two early assault rifles are getting a slight buff. Again, these are probably, your weapons that you're using in just the very beginning, and then obviously you switch off to, the Punisher, for example, the Slugger, maybe the Eruptor still. Those are the three that come to mind. I mean, even the Adjudicator, maybe the Adjudicator. Maybe we can do the Counter Sniper now. Like, again, there's more damage in other weapons, but it's good to see that, the AR-19 and the AR-23C Liberator Concussive did get a slight damage increase. The Jar 5 Dominator, damage decrease from 300 to 275. I'm actually surprised about this. I don't see many people use the Dominator. It was definitely not a popular weapon, but I have seen people use it, and I've used it myself, and it felt pretty good. Wasn't my style, but I'm actually kind of surprised to see a slight nerf. So hopefully it wasn't too bad to just kind of can it for the time being, because, again, you don't really see many people use the Dominator. So for all you Dominator enjoyers, that's a fat L. A little L, excuse me. Little L. All right. AX-AR-23 Guard Dog decreased damage by 30%. And then you have the RL-77 Airburst Rocket Launcher. So the Airburst Rocket Launcher will no longer detonate when shot near Stratagems and other Helldivers. That's a really good thing. I did watch the video on how the Airburst Rocket Launcher work, and I'm going to be very shocked how people use this playstyle. When I say shocked, is I'm kind of curious to see the creativity, because it's not your standard rocket launcher, right, where you shoot it at the enemy. You shoot it in proximity, and it does a lot of damage AoE wise around it, right? So again, does they have a reduced proximity radius, which is actually, I think, that's okay, because, right, you get a tighter, it's gonna count the enemies in a tighter area, which is kind of what you want, in my opinion, how I understood the tighter radius here. So next up here are the stratagems. So we have the AMG 43 machine gun sentry. So it's increased health to match other sentries. I don't know. I mean, it has to go against like the Gatling sentry, but when I see people use sentries, I mean, the machine gun sentries, Gatling sentries, I mean, they burn ammo so fast. You might as well just use like the missile sentry and whatnot, and the rail cannon, and the mortar. At that point, if you're going to really use a sentry, I mean, there's still value in the machine gun sentry, but hey, maybe this is maybe what it needed, but still, it's good to see a buff on it. So that's my take on it, at least. Now you have the Tesla Tower, which is increased health by 33%. Ah, yes, the good old fly zappy that kills your teammate. So now it's even harder to kill when I shoot it, whenever I have to run into the path of it, and I have to kill it my own teammate's stratagem here. But it's good to see it does have an increased health by 33%, so it does last a little bit longer against the enemies that you're trying to kill. All right, the FAF-14 Spear. So it added a reload after the spent missile has been discarded. I would have to see what that looks like to understand. Added reload after the spent missile has been discarded. I imagine that sounds like a buff. I used to use the spear a lot before I started using the expendables. I like the concept of the spear, so that is something that we'd have to test. I'm more of a visual person when learning, so I feel a little slow by admitting that, saying, what do you mean by added reload after the spent missile? Like, I can visually see it, but I could be certainly wrong how I'm visually understanding that. All right, so the RL-77 Airburst rocket launcher list, I imagine, I'm not really sure what this is about here. So, all right, moving down to enemies. So, Bile Spear and Nursing Spear's move speed slightly reduced. Slightly reduced. So that's good, because these things were fast as hell, and they would just spit all over you and kill you, and it's really hard to get away from them once you're slowed. So it's good to see that their movement speed was slightly reduced. I can get behind that. The Hulks, force required for them to stagger slightly increased. Force required for them to stagger slightly. Okay, that's a good thing. Hulk Scorcher directly flamethrower damage reduced by 20%. Great. That way I'm just not getting absolutely eviscerated and scorched when that thing even touches me. So it's 20% less damage. That gives me some time to get resituated when I'm on fire. Devastator's fire rate slightly increased, only the standard Devastators. So this isn't the shielded one, which is a good thing here. I actually want to look up, make sure I'm thinking of the right Devastator here. And also, by the way, guys, I'll be adding pictures on here as well, so you guys can see what we're looking at as well. So I just want to make sure I'm thinking of the right one. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking of. So their fire rate is slightly increased. All right, and not the shield ones. So next up is your gunships. Sideways movement slightly increased. All right, Scout Shredder Rider is now less vulnerable to explosion. Yeah, those things got just destroyed with explosions. Fog generators, health and armor increase. That's another one that I am not like, what do you mean by fog generator? Like when I think of a fog generator, I think of the spore spewers. I just want to see if that's what they meant. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know what the answer is to that. And then gunship spawners now have a much lower cap on how many gunships they can have active at the same time. Well, that's great. So we'll see how that looks like whenever we fight the automatons. All right, enemy patrols. Patrol spawning has been increased when there are fewer than 4 players. The fewer the players, the bigger the change. For 4-player missions, there will be no change compared to before. The biggest notable change will be for solo players at higher difficulties. So pretty much what they're saying to you solo players is you're too sweaty. You asked for this. I'm just kidding. But that's kind of unfortunate for the solo players, right? Like, you guys want to play solo, and they basically said, you can. You're just going to get punished for it. So good luck. And I wish you luck, my friend. So next up is the gameplay. So we have made minor level generation improvements to how we distribute locations throughout the mission map. This should improve variations in distance between objectives, and objectives will likely not spawn as far from each other as often as before. That's awesome, because I feel like I was playing Forrest Gump / DayZ / PUBG simulator, running from objective to objective far across the map. So that's great. Added setting in the option menu gameplay section to disable automatic climbing and vaulting while sprinting. So this is something that I actually like, and that's because when I'm running to, for example, a resupply, and I sprint into the resupply and I jump on top of it, and then a charger's after me, so time is everything, and I just get absolutely ran over and exploded because it hit the resupply. Yeah, that's I'm so happy to see that option. I also want to see, though, how it doesn't benefit me, right? Because I'm so used to sprinting at objects where I can vault. So I guess we'll see if it's more of a nuisance or more of a great change based on that. The Spread Democracy mission, otherwise known as Raise the Flag, can now be enjoyed on higher difficulties for maximum freedom spreading. Okay, quality of life change right there. When readying up, Helldivers now salute to ensure maximum democratic readiness. Love it. That's a good one right there. Another good QOL. Added ambience to the tremor planetary hazard to underline the severity so others can react accordingly. Good. This is a great thing here. So we get more of a heads up. Shots that ricochet from heavy armored enemies will now properly hit the Helldiver who fired them. Trigger discipline is highly recommended. So this to me tells me that, if you're shooting at a heavy armored, it will actually do damage to you if it unfortunately and unluckily hits you. And I say this like that is because I saw in Discord people were asking, so what does this mean? I'm reading it literally here, and I'm just gonna say there is now another way you can take damage from yourself from shooting at heavy armored enemies. All right, moving up to fixes here. So there is a lot here. We have crash fixes, fix crash that could occur when host abandoned mission with squad, fix crash that could occur if a player tried to enter an occupied XO45 Patriot suit, fix crash that could occur for all players after or during mission result screens, fix crash that could occur after shooting from the XO45 Patriot suit rocket launcher. Wow, there's a lot of problems with the there's 2 problems with the XO45. I had no idea. Fix crash that could occur for all players apart from the one that rejoined the ongoing mission with different armor and got reinforced. Fix superior packing methodology ship module not working properly. Fix blast absorption ship module so that it correctly increases sentries resistance to explosions. Fix issues where players could not navigate to the search results in the social menu. Fix some issues where items equipped in a war bomb were not actually equipped. Fix an exploit that allowed overly eager Helldivers to use grenades excessively. Okay. Fixed issue where kills from orbital barrage did not progress indirect fire exercise orders. Fix issues that allow traders to try to sabotage the extraction shuttle by deploying sentry stratagems below it. Oh, okay. That's a good one. Fixed issue where ion storms incorrectly prevented extraction beacon from deploying. That's actually kind of funny. Fix some stratagem beams using incorrect color coding. Fix issues where the left stick on a controller could not be used to navigate the social menu. Fix some issues where various UI elements were cut off-centered, or too close to the edge of the screen on ultra-wide. Fix anti-material rifle facing away from the Helldivers after deploying it. Fix bug where player could duplicate rounds by canceling the reload of anti-material rifle at a specific time. Fix bug where anti-material rifle could consume an extra magazine after a canceled reload. Fix bug where recoilless rifle would consume an extra shell from the backpack if the reload was canceled just after a shell was inserted, but before the reload was canceled or completed. Was completed. Fixed issue where the Sickle and Quasar Cannon could not shoot through foliage. Fixed several issues where weapon thumbnails would disappear when scrolling through armory. Fixed issues where automaton gunships sometimes could not see the player. Fixed incorrect collision being left over after destroying automatons, bunkers, or detector towers with hell bombs. Fixed issues where hell bombs would not deploy on certain missions. Fixed certain issues that resulted in Helldivers drowning in deep water upon landing. Fixed issues where Hellpod space optimization made ammo go above capacity. That's unfortunate. I actually did not know it was a thing, but I would have liked to have seen that. The more the better. You have stuff in your pockets there. Fixed issues where stalkers became very invisible in fog. I am glad I did not have to experience that, because I would have freaking screamed if that thing came out of nowhere. Mines are now pingable for better coordination with your team. Great. Receiving friend requests now gives the player a pop-up. Improved readability of prompts and hints displayed in the tutorials and onboarding. Total experience is now visible in the career tab. Added better support for ultra-wide monitors by fixing the aspect ratio menus to 16 by 9, and adding a setting to control the width of the HUD. Keybinds bound to number pad will no longer reset upon restart. It's a good thing. Fixed inconsistent audio when headphones are plugged into the DualSense controller when playing on PC. Playing rock, paper, scissors in front of the ship no longer causes the player to fall out into space. I mean, they could have left that one alone, man. Come on, man. That's like a little Easter egg. APW-1 anti-material rifle and MG206 heavy machine gun now trigger hit markers while scoped in. Secondary weapon no longer remains in the ballistic shield. ADS, also known as aim down sight position, after using a stim with the ballistic shield backpack equipped. Open text is now rebindable. Explosive weapons such as the R36 Eruptor, CB9 exploding crossbow, and GP31 grenade no longer pulls player inward from the blast. That is fantastic. Oh my god, if anything, it should have gone back. You should have went backwards instead of forward. The amount of times I have accidentally memed myself and then got sat on by a charger because of this, because of the Eruptor. That is awesome. Thank you. Disabled the squad invites during the tutorial, which caused an overlap in the UI. Fixed primary and secondary weapons overlapping on the character model in the armory. Fixed UI elements during the first boot are cut off on a 21 by 9 aspect ratio monitor. Report and block player is now visible in the squad menu. Oh, that's really good. Dead scavengers now stop screaming for help if killed while calling in reinforcements. Fixed anti-air cannons showing up as a stratagem scrambler and danger warnings. So we also have the known issues, and I'm just going to leave it paused here because this is something that, I just more or less wanted to vocalize what has actually changed. So feel free to pause here for the known issues. I just want to say that I'm very happy that Helldivers developers, they, compared to other games, they really care a lot about their games, and I'm really thrilled to be a part of this community, because you don't get many games like this, right? There's these live services, and I know a lot of people are not happy with or I believe, and I can see how not a lot of people are happy with this update due to the weapons that they like. But at the end of the day, we have developers who, in my opinion, and I'm just speaking out of my own personal take here, they actually care. So I'm really happy to be a part of this community. But anyway, guys, I would be more than happy to have this discussion in the comment section. I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on everything that I've said. There probably are some things that I may have misunderstood, so please feel free to correct me. If you are into this type of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, as I said in the beginning of the video, I do also stream other games such as Overwatch 2, or I should just say Blizzard Entertainment games, other hack and slash or survival games. So if that's something up your alley, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'd love to have a chat with you guys. I'd love for y'all to us be a community. So with that being said, I wish y'all the best of your time playing this game with this awesome update, in my opinion. Excited to try it all. And most importantly, everyone, happy diving. I'll see you on the next one.